Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1060, Luffy's Dream. And this is it's got some interesting reveals in it, to say the least. But we're going to start with the artwork, which is just a lovely color spread this time. It is actually a remake of a color spread Oda's done before, back when it was just the original East Blue 5. So it's nice to see the entire crew together of on top of this bear. I believe originally the artwork said like the word freedom was written on the bear, but now it says we stand for liberty, which as an American citizen, I very much appreciate the word liberty. But anyways, it's just nice to see the crew on a color spread as always, because even though he's now been an official crew member for like 2 years in the real world, Jinbei's been an official member of the Straw Hat crew for like a week in actual like world time, because he showed up the night of the raid, and then Luffy was unconscious for like 3 days, and then we had the week where they stayed in Wano. So Jinbei's been a member of the crew officially for like 2 weeks now, give or take. But anyways, you don't want to hear me ramble about Jinbei's status and how he's probably still my third favorite Straw Hat. You want to hear about the chapter, which starts off with Luffy getting mad at the news, which is very appropriate. Luffy has finally been caught up to date on some of the important world events, such as Sabo being accused of the murder of King Cobra. Uh, Obviously, Luffy believes this is fake. Robin agrees with him, having met Sabo herself. A couple other crew members are like, wait, is this the brother we met in Dressrosa? It's weird, because if you actually think about it, Brook is still the only member of the crew who has never met either of Luffy's brothers. He was not in Dressrosa, so he never got to meet Sabo. Wasn't a member of the crew when, Ace was available to talk to. Jinbei knew Ace personally, so even Jinbei has met one of Luffy's brothers, but Brook has still not met a single brother. And, well, that window of opportunity is closing. So, but I'll get to that as we go through the chapter. Luffy demands that they set a course for Alabasta immediately. They're going to go find Vivi wherever she's been, gone missing. They're going to help King Cobra because he's dead. Well, they're going to help King Cobra's kingdom because he's dead, I meant to say. But whatever the reason, he wants to go to Alabasta. Zoro says this is not really a good idea since the last time Vivi was reported missing, she was in Mary Joie, which Luffy says, well, fine, we'll just set a course for there. And then, of course, the entire crew is torn on this. In fact, I feel it was very reminiscent of, at the end of Alabasta, you see Luffy, Chopper, Nami, Sanji, they're all crying over the issue Vivi's going through. Sanji obviously just loves Vivi. Chopper obviously just loves Vivi. Nami is torn between worrying about Vivi's country that Vivi loves so much, as well as worrying about Vivi's position. Where is she taken? She's been kidnapped, and finally worried about her mourning the loss of her father, if she even knows about her father. For all we know, the assassination happened at the exact same time she got kidnapped. Vivi might not even know what happened to Cobra. But as with when they left Vivi behind, Zoro is the rational anchor here, telling them all, it's out of our hands. Vivi is way over there. We are way over here. And like you said back in Alabasta about Ace, Ace, had his own adventures. Ace had his own problems. And if he really needed our help, he'd say something. Vivi is the same way. Vivi has her own adventure. Vivi can stand on her own 2 feet. She is a Straw Hat pirate after all. So, yeah, Zoro's right, there's really not much they can do except hope Vivi's okay, and if the opportunity presents itself to help her, they'll obviously do it. There's also a brief mentioning of the Cross Guild and how Robin is talking about Crocodile, Zoro knows Mihawk, Luffy knows Buggy, so it's interesting to see these names together. I do love the running gag of other people believing the hype around Buggy. Like, Robin looks at it and goes, this is a pretty powerful group, and, being led by Buggy the Clown, and Luffy's just like, am I the only person here? Like, Nami, Zoro, back me up. Because Sanji saw Buggy in the sense that he saw the dude trying to execute Luffy. Zoro and Nami are really the only members of the crew that know Buggy is not nearly as terrifying as he looks. But all this talk of news and Sabo and Ace and Buggy and Vivi and all that has gotten Luffy reminiscing about his childhood with Ace and Sabo, and how he told Sabo his dream, which was to become the king of the pirates. And once he became the king of the pirates, he would then... And then we get this little shocked expression from each of the different Straw Hat crew members as Luffy says, "That's the thing that I want at the end of my dream." And you get reactions from across the board. You got Jinbei laughing, saying like, well, I signed up for all these crazy shenanigans, so why not add that one? With Usopp saying, that dream sounds infinitely more impossible. And Frankie's like, well, you know, becoming the king of the pirates is definitely the stepping stone for that. And Chopper being like, oh, Luffy, that's so cool. But Luffy then looks at his crew and goes, wait, have I never mentioned this to you guys? And Usopp, you know, telling them, no, actually, this is the first time you've told us that part of the dream. You've just been like, I'm going to be the king of the pirates. I'm going to be the king of the pirates. Of course, we, the audience, still don't know the rest of Luffy's dream. There's theories about it left and right. There's some I like. There's some that I think are a little weird but believable knowing Luffy. But for the most part, we, as the audience, still don't know Luffy's dream. But now his crew does. And Luffy told them, you know, I told Ace, I told Sabo, and I told Shanks, and they responded by laughing, and Shanks had a few tears in his eyes because, as we know, thanks to Shanks talking to Rayleigh and Roger's flashback with Kozuki Oden, Roger and Luffy had the same dream. This unknown dream has just sparked disbelief in those that love and care about these characters, and sadly, I don't think Roger ever got to achieve that part of the dream. So Luffy may inherit that will and finish it off. But I think this leads to a bigger revelation for us, the audience. The fact that Oda took the time to wait until Jinbei was officially on the boat alone. The whole Straw Hat crew is privately together. There's no Momonosuke, there's no Law, Yamato's not with them, there's Kinemon's not on the boat, Carrot's not there. It is just the Straw Hat crew, alone in the middle of the ocean, and the other 9 members of his crew hear his dream. I think this is the solidified Straw Hat crew. I do not think from this point on we are going to get another member. We may have Straw Hat adjacent members like Yamato or Vivi or Momonosuke or, I always put my hat out for Perona still, but that's the personal wish list. But anyways, the fact that now the Straw Hat crew knows Luffy's true goal, I think solidifies them thematically as the only members of the Straw Hat crew, because it would be weird for Oda to put so much emphasis on the rest of the crew finally learning Luffy's dream, and then 2 arcs from now, we just get some random stranger who shows up and becomes a part. We're in the final saga. I think we can still have Straw Hat wish lists, but I think it's time to accept that about 10 will do. But that's just me. We have plenty of time for that to change, because as Frankie is, telling Luffy, well then, we better just go get that last poneglyph, Robin points out that the last poneglyph hasn't been seen in a very long time, and it's going to be a lot harder than it sounds to find it. I want to emphasize that we are in the final saga of One Piece, not the final arc. And as we all know, the last saga was like 10 years long, so I was still in college when Dressrosa was happening, so. But as Luffy is sitting with his crew, laughing about his dream and sailing off to happier waters, we cut to the Revolutionary Army. More importantly, the Marines who have been wiretapping them. They even mention that Sabo is not using a white transponder snail, which means he must be desperate. He needs to get this message to Dragon ASAP, and he does. He tells Dragon that he is not the one that assassinated Cobra. I mean, we all knew that, but what's more important is Sabo saw the empty throne. He always thought the throne was empty, but he saw dot dot dot. So we're getting a lot of dot dot dots this chapter. We got Luffy saying my true dream is dot dot dot. Sabo saying I saw dot dot dot. Though I think the dot 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 is that he saw Eam sitting on the throne. Maybe Sabo knows what Eam looks like or what Eam is. If Eam is maybe a Lunarian or some other secret race, because we know that Big Mom is missing 3 races from her kingdom. She's missing giants, she's missing Lunarians, and she's missing something else. So there's always the chance for a third new race to appear, even in the home stretch of One Piece. But as Sabo is telling Dragon about this, the wiretapping confirms that his location is in Luluzia, which is a kingdom that has been referenced to a couple times. The king and his daughter were saved by Helmeppo and Kobe when they were being on their way to the Reverie. Their kingdom is also the place, the island, where Ace was looking for Blackbeard and he kicked that innocent Dr. Blackbeard, the one that looks like Blackbeard but was a doctor. The little girl that sells milk, that's the place where the 4 revolutionary commanders just happened to be in the same area and they stopped Peachbeard from taking over the island. So, in a very subtle way, this island has been constantly referenced. However, the 5 elders, they're talking about that island and one of them says, oh, that's a shame, it must be destiny. And the other one goes, yeah, no, it's just unfortunate bad luck for him. As Eam finds this out and you just see Eam, looking at something, maybe, piece of paper or a map. Oh no, he is looking at a map because we do see a panel where the name just gets crossed out on the map. Like the island just gets a big X on it. And I think it's the elders delivering this message, but they basically say, like, tell the cartographers, tell the record keepers, this island never existed. And then just this pillar of light comes blasting down onto the island. I would hate for Sabo to die unceremoniously in an explosion, considering the last time he died was in an explosion. But Eam wiped out an island. I think Sabo survived. Oda's a lot more cinematic when it comes to killing off named characters. But we have an island level threat on our hands, and quite possibly this is the ancient weapon Uranus. Either that, or Eam has a devil fruit very similar to the the Rumble fruit, the power of lightning. Although maybe this is like power of like heavenly wrath. Whatever the reason, Eam has the power to destroy islands and the authority to pretend like that island never happened. This might be the cause of that big hole where Enies Lobby is. My only question is, if the world government was able to track Sabo sending a message to the Kamabaka Queendom, why did Eam destroy the island Sabo was on when he could have wiped out Dragon and all the other revolutionaries? Like, if Eam has the power to just blast an island out of existence, why choose that one? Sabo managed to deliver his message to Dragon, so there has to be a reason. I'm sure it'll get covered up, or not covered up, it'll get covered someday. Eventually that question will be answered, but for now, it's a very confusing thing for me. If Eam is so powerful that he can wipe an island off the face of the map, why hasn't he wiped out bigger threats like Dragon? Or Blackbeard, or Kaido? I mean, Wano is in a distinct spot, unless Eam can only target certain places or certain things. Again, this is something that so many questions but so few answers, and Eam just became that much more terrifying. All hail the powerful king/queen of the world, because we still don't know what Eam looks like. But after that depressingly powerful display, we get to cut back to the Straw Hat crew before this chapter ends. They are currently in a snowstorm, so a bit of time has passed. And it's really cute. Chopper's got this little hat that causes him to blow away in the wind, but we'll get to that in a moment. So As they're sailing through the snowstorm, the weather is stabilizing, and Nami points out that they're probably heading for a winter island. So that's kind of cool. That's fun. I like winter islands personally. Winter is my favorite season. But what's more pressing is this giant air bubble of water and death swirling in the middle of the ocean. It's called a warm eddy. I did very bare minimum research on what that is, but it's like if warm water and hot water get mixed into the same spot, it causes like an air pocket in the ocean, I think. Obviously, this is the Grand Line, so it's cranked up to 25 and turns into a giant explosion of death. But the Straw Hat crew are not afraid of it. Zoro says he's just going to cut it in half, and he ends up doing so. But with the observation Haki on board, Sanji notices that a woman is trapped inside. Luffy sees a little person inside of there too, and as Luffy is stretching his arm out to save Chopper, who's being blown away, Zoro cuts the thing in half, and Jewelry Bonnie pops out. So, I hope you guys enjoyed your half chapter of the Straw Hat crew hanging out together, because we've got a new guest on board, and it is another member of the Worst Generation, which I really like this. I like that the Worst Generation is like sort of guest starring in every arc. We got Law for a lot of it, but Beige guest starred during Whole Cake Island. You got Eustace, who was a big player in Wano. Drake, Apu, you got Hawkins. They were all a part of Wano. So, yeah. So Jewelry Bonnie's going to get here. And what's great about that is she knows a lot of things that we don't. So I'm hoping if she's willing to play nice, she doesn't seem to have her crew with her, so she has no choice but to stay on the Straw Hat ship. She can't swim. She's a devil fruit user. Maybe we'll even learn the name of her devil fruit. But fortunately for us, we will probably learn something next week because there is no break. We get straight into another chapter. And I hope you're looking forward to that just as much as I am. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.